This video is powered by BetUS. The Bears have signed a new center, Ricky Stromberg, adding him to the practice squad after releasing Nate Davis and calling up Jake Curran to the 53-man roster. Finally, a shakeup to this offensive line, and we
Go
can
Bears.
finally say goodbye to Nate Davis. He was going to get cut in the offseason regardless, but now we can just wipe our hands clean with the guy. He will now go down as one of Ryan Pohl's biggest misses, but also a lesson to be wary when spending in free agency. For everyone who wants us to overspend and buy players during the NFL's free agency period, remember, a lot of times you end up with guys like Nate Davis or even someone like a Chase Claypool. You just never know, and you have to be careful. But Jake Curran, who can play guard or tackle, is now on the 53-man roster. But even more importantly, the Bears have signed a new center. And personally, I love this move. I'm going to tell you all about the Bears' new center prospect, Ricky Stromberg, what kind of player he is, and lots more. But first, I want to quickly thank BetUS for sponsoring today's video. They have an awesome prop builder on their website for parlays. This week they have Caleb Williams over 194.5 passing yards, DeAndre Swift over 67.5 rushing yards, and DJ Moore over 42.5 receiving yards. Can Thomas Brown spark this offense? You can still use promo code YouTube150. Be sure to check out BetUS. Now I want to tell you all about the Bears' new center, Ricky Stromberg. Let's get right into it. Stromberg was a third-round pick in last year's draft, a young center with a lot of upside. The Commanders took him with the 97th overall pick, just 30 picks after the Bears took Zach Pickens and before we drafted Roschon Johnson. So it is surprising that he didn't make the 53-man roster this season, mostly due to injuries. He hurt his knee his rookie season and didn't play, and then needed his knee scoped this year during training camp and was out for 2 months. He's now fully healthy and ready to compete. So what does he bring to the Chicago Bears? The first thing he brings is good size for the center position. At 6'3" and 306 pounds, he has a good 25 pounds on Coleman Shelton. And on top of that, he has long arms over 33 inches, and he's extremely athletic. This is a guy that Ryan Poles could view as a potential starter down the line. He scored a 9.57 on his relative athletic score, and he was a 4-star recruit out of high school that went to college at Arkansas. He went on to become a 4-year starter, playing mostly at center. His freshman season, he started at right guard. He only allowed 9 pressures in 12 games with 0 sacks. As a sophomore, he would move to center, and he allowed just 1 sack in 9 games. And then his junior season, he started 13 games, giving up just 7 pressures and 3 sacks. His senior season at Arkansas was his best year. He started 12 games and didn't allow a sack all season long. Afterwards, he got an invite to the Shrine Bowl, and he got drafted in the 3rd round by the Commanders. He also made line calls for Arkansas. He's a guy who's considered an intelligent player who plays with a mean streak. He was an absolute mauler in the run game, and he excelled at finishing blocks and pancaking defenders. He's smart, versatile, and athletic with the size to be a starter in the NFL. He did struggle with his footwork at times, and he needs to continue refining his technique in the NFL. On top of that, he's now had 2 knee injuries in the last year and a half, and Washington decided to move on from him. Now, there is a bit more to that, as the Commanders did have a new coaching staff come in, and they signed a big-time center in free agency. But clearly, right now, Stromberg's NFL career has gotten off to a slow start, and he needs to stay healthy to avoid becoming a bust at this point. But this is a guy that literally just turned 24 years old last week. He is young, with a ton of experience at center. He's smart, versatile, and he's a guy that most NFL scouts viewed as a future starter in the league when he got drafted just last year. It's been knee injuries that have held him back so far, but if he can stay healthy and impress our coaching staff, I really believe Stromberg is a guy who has a chance to stick around long term. I did scout him last year at the East West Shrine Bowl, and he's a guy that I talked about multiple times on videos on this channel last year. This is a move that I love. If he can stay healthy, he seriously has the potential to be a starting center in the NFL. Center has been one of our biggest holes on this roster the last few years, and while Coleman Shelton has done okay this season, he is a free agent after this year, and he hasn't really dominated or anything. But he has been much better than back when we had Sam Mustipher manning the position. But center is still a trouble spot for us, and Stromberg is a guy with long-term upside and potential. I've wanted a young center with upside for a long time. And as much as I love Doug Kramer, I just do not believe he's the guy. I love putting him in at fullback, and he's a great story, but we need to get better on this offensive line, and we've needed a developmental center prospect. Ricky Stromberg is that guy, or he's at least the best player we have to fill that role right now. I don't think this should stop us from drafting a center next year, but I do view this as a positive move. On top of that, we've also cut Nate Davis, which will immediately save us over $9 million in cap space next season. It's clear to me that Ryan Poles is already planning on upgrading this offensive line, and it's something he has to do no matter what. Ricky Stromberg is a nice piece, but we are a long way away from finishing this front five. Ryan Poles has a job to do. His job as the Bears GM is not done yet, and a lot of fans are calling him out for the way he built this team. And as much as I love this move, I don't want to paint a cloudy picture here. We still need a heavy investment into the trenches this offseason. But Ricky Stromberg is a player that I really liked when I was scouting the position last season. I've spent the last 3 years scouting a lot of centers, and Ricky Stromberg is a guy with some upside. I love this move, and I hope he eventually makes it to the 53. But I am really curious to hear how you guys feel about this move. We have a new offensive coordinator. Shane Waldron was fired. Nate Davis has been cut, and now we signed a young center. How are you feeling heading into this weekend's matchup against the Green Bay Packers? FGB in the comments. Thanks again to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Stay tuned, guys. I have more content on the way. And until next time, bear down.